Thanks everyone for being here. Mr. Greer, it's good to see you online.
Hello.
Call this meeting to order. So I think this is our first one. So like just a brief introduction. Everyone kind of just go around and say what they do.
Okay.
And I'll start on that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Finally meet. Let me,
Grab a chair. You want these?
this is fine. This is fine. Thank you.
So we're just about to go around and give just brief introductions since this is our first meeting. So I'm Jesse Price, I'm on council here. Backgrounds mostly in design and IT, UX, UI, technology stuff, and then a lot of construction growing up in that environment. My dad is commercial construction and has most of my young life, so that's me. Is it Curtis?
I'm Jim Curtis. I lived here since I retired in 2011. I'm an economist, teaching, consulting, been in government.
Jerry Phelps, Public Works Director. I've been here 18 years, started out in the police department. Had a chance to switch over and took advantage of it and moved over and moved up in my position. I'm now the director and enjoy it. It's a great job. Thank you.
Jason Street, I've been in the city a little over 5 years now. Started my career as a land use planner. Certified land use planner, credentialed city county manager, and great vision.
Cody English, Water System Coordinator, Assistant Public Works Director. I've been here about 10 years. Started right out of high school, started at the bottom. Obtained my class 3 water license in 2021. Obtained my class 2 in 2023. Absolutely love it in Shallow.
I love it, man. I'm a judge down in Statesboro. We have a house here. Yeah, we've been coming since 1993. Wow. So we got a timeshare for $189.06. And we've been coming ever since.
Mr. Greer?
Hi, Dick Greer. We've only been in Sky Valley about 6 months, but we were in Highlands for like 15 years. So we know the area really well, but we don't know Sky Valley that well yet. I'm actually in Florida right now. We'll be back middle of May. My background is as a general contractor, retired fairly young, maybe not the smartest thing I've ever done, but it's been my life. So looking forward to helping out here if I can.
And I am Mayor Benita Cotton Orr, and I'm really happy to see you all here. I'm very glad that the City Council approved this committee, which I believe is one of the most important of our committees as we go forward. Helping the public works and the community on the desires and the needs in our community, and being able to discern between the two and figure out what we can do to help the community's needs and their desires. And I look forward to hearing what you have to counsel the council and Public Works and our city manager and water. So thank you all for agreeing to serve. I will leave this call for 5 minutes, this meeting for 5 minutes. If you will continue, we have a quick call we need to make, and I'll be right back. Thank you.
All right. So first item for discussion, and Jim, correct me if I'm bouncing around out of order. So this is my first one, so. I'll count on you to keep me in check. The recycling program, we had a few different options there, and Robert Smalley emailed in, and I want to make sure that his comments were on the record, because he had said that, thank you, Sharon, for sending me that. He had just said that it'd be great if we did central recycling to have a paper bin. So I just want to make sure we knew that as well, in addition to the options. So the first option we had talked about was moving forward with just eliminating the entire program. And I don't know if, Jerry, are you able to speak to, I think the recycling program had some logistical issues as far as it's not as efficient as it could be, as far as just, it was a little dangerous. It's messy and the things aren't sorted as well. I don't know if you all are able to speak to that a little bit, as to from your guys' perspective, to the people that are actually doing it.
Okay, you got those. Yeah, actually Sharon has some pictures that we can pull up here this time.
Is it for my driveway?
What do you,
Maybe,
are you ready for?
yeah, will you pull up some of those pictures of the recycling bins?
People are saying that the sound is really, and the problem is,
Yeah.
we don't, so make sure you
Speak up.
project, yes.
Speak up, okay.
Okay, Cody.
Yeah, so right there, is just a prime example of a lot of the times what we run into. Not clean, safety hazard. Not to the expectations that we think we need to be. Messy. You know, the biggest thing is safety. Sharon, can you scroll to a different one? Yeah, that was not too bad. I'm sure you could. It's all supposed to be assorted and separated. It's all in one. We're having to take the time to separate it and then put it where it goes. When it's not sorted and in order, you don't know what's down in there. Going back to safety again, a lot of this ends up being broken. We've had several employees that has had small cuts, nothing.
Is that a broken bottle there on the right?
It's hard to tell by that picture, but.
I don't think so. I don't think that one actually is. I was telling Cody yesterday that this information that we've got, I've got, like a list for 4 trips, which would be a month. And most of it was overflowing, too many bins. And we're just really, I don't really want to say off time of year, you know what I mean, where there's not as many people here. Summertime, it goes way up. Right, trips back and forth to the landfill is 2.5 months and probably 3 in the summer. Too many, just trying to get it cleaned up and make it look presentable. Kind of stuff, so.
Now, is this the picture of something that's presentable or?
No, it's overflow.
It's not assorted as well.
A lot of times the wind will carry a lot of that away before we can get there and pick it up, you see what I'm saying? And then we're out there picking up stuff that people stack too high in their recycling bin. A lot of times people will build up walls with cardboard, you know, and try to stack as high as they can. I don't know if we got a picture of that or not, but yeah, I mean, right there, the wind can blow that away very easily, and then we're out there having to pick it up.
Yeah.
I want to put a little bit of accountability on the public works department because we have let it go too far. Our ordinance says that we don't have to take no more than 13 gallons. And we've really tried to not make that such a big deal.
Yeah.
And it has grown so much that everybody is putting way too much now.
Yeah.
And we're to a point that we can't,
I don't really know that we can backtrack on ourselves and go back to only 13 gallons worth of recycle.
In simple terms, it's, we're taking care of it as we go. It's there, it's scattered.
So when y'all get to this, where do you take it?
To the
To
landfill.
the landfill.
And it's assorted at the landfill.
Okay, so it's sorted at land, is there somebody there that sorts it, or is it sky
But
valley?
we have to sort
You
it.
have to sort it.
So how many employees have y'all got involved in just collect to do?
Yeah. There's 2 employees in the truck that go around, every Monday and collect and then take to the landfill and separate.
How long is that, of your time?
It takes about probably an hour, 45 minutes to go to the landfill, separate and come back and get back on the route.
Keep going with these, Cody, or?
And did I understand that you take 2 trips to the landfill a month?
No, that's per Monday.
Okay, per Monday?
Yes, that's
Okay,
per collection day.
got it.
So every Monday, you know, we're coming out of the dead of winter right now, but even in the wintertime, we're taking 2 trips up to the landfill.
Okay,
That's all we can haul.
yeah.
Going back to the broken glass and it not being assorted, and that kind of thing, like Cody spoke on, we've let them contact Advantage, if you would say. We've been picking it up, and getting it out of there, but on the sanitation side as well, the bottles, the plastic, it's supposed to be rinsed out and cleaned out before it's put in there, and that don't happen a lot. I mean, they come back in, they smell like they've been to at a brewery somewhere, or, vice versa.
Does the county require it to be split up like this, or y'all just doing that?
It has to be split apart. Those landfill, they have these big bins, so one would be like green glass, one would be brown glass, one would be clear glass, tin cans, aluminum cans, paper. And, like, if it's a Monday and it's raining, it's doing us no good to recycle paper, cause they won't take it if it's wet. They will not take wet paper, so if we get to the landfill and we have wet paper, it just goes right into the landfill. It doesn't get recycled.
Yeah.
You got the option to just break, throw it in the landfill, or you have to sort it?
I mean, we do have the option. We could just throw it right into the thing, but we try to separate it.
Mr. Greer, I can tell, is having a really hard time hearing, so I'm sure.
Really
you'll
having a hard time hearing.
Got it turned up as loud as I could, and I got a mic on you, but I can't, those are too short to.
Should we, can we pass this around?
You might want to pass the microphone around.
I don't think the cord will reach.
Is there a way we can put the cord on a chair, I mean, the microphone on a chair that, please speak closer. There we go.
How's the sound on that now, Mr. Greer? Is that a little better?
It depends on who's talking. Sharon is really clear. And you're a little less so. And then everybody else is pretty muffled. Can I jump in and make a comment as a new owner? That when we bought our place, we're in a condominium. We're in Forest Hills, up at the end of Overlook Way. We didn't, and I'm not sure who would be responsible, but we didn't get any instruction on the recycling at all. I don't know whether the bins are supposed to be separated by the owner, which makes a lot of sense in some ways, but then I don't know how it could be carted off. It sounds like Public Works guys are doing the separating at the landfill. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So if we'd gotten an information sheet when we bought, it might have alleviated some of the problem. But one of the other things I'm seeing is that these little bins are supposed to be carrying an awful lot of stuff from the pictures. That also is the case in our trash area at our condo too. I'm wondering if a larger rollaway, one of the trash barrels that we're using could be converted if in fact we're not supposed to be separating at the units or at the houses. It would sure help to have a larger bin. We have, I don't know about anybody else, but I believe we have 8 trash bins, of which 2 usually get filled. So to me, that would solve one of the issues. And then I guess my other question is if the guys are getting cuts from the recycling, are they getting cuts from the trash as well? Seems like they ought to be wearing gloves, but I'm not sure that's the only answer, of course. That's all I have for right now.
Mr. Greer, I have one concern about a bigger recycle bin. It would become so heavy, there's no way we could dump it into the back of the truck.
How do you dump the trash bins then?
The trash bins get dumped into the back of the trash truck. It's mechanical. It's a mechanical flipper on the back.
Yeah, it's done mechanically. You roll it up and then the truck actually lifts the bin.
Yes, sir, that's right.
And so I haven't seen your recycle truck, so that has to be done by him, is that right?
Yes, sir, it does. It's just a F-350, a Ford F-350 with a dump bed on the back. It's got some pretty tall sides on it. The guys physically have to lift it up and pick it, dump it over into the back of the truck.
Does it have a lift kit on the back?
No, sir, it does not.
Didn't we used to have a recycle truck that had the bins and we recycled it at the collection point?
Yes, we did. We used to have, it was a flatbed and then had separate bins for each different material. But unfortunately that truck died on us. So we changed over the way we done it and we're dumping it in a flatbed now, or in a dump bed and separating it at the landfill.
Boy, that's a lot of extra work for you guys.
It is.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what we lined out a few different options. The first one was kind of just because it's not a cost-effective program. The first option was just to kind of eliminate it. But I've heard a lot of people in the community really like the recycling program and would like to have it continue in some way, shape, or form, but we just have to figure out a way to make it cost-effective for the city, and it has to work to not, destroy the city employees at the same time.
Can I add something about recycling? These guys are not going to say this, but I'm going to say this. In the summertime, half of that stuff just gets thrown away. They don't have time to fool with it.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear.
Mr. Sheehan just said that in the summertime, because of the sheer amount of volume, like I think right now that the guys are able to handle it during the winter, but I believe what Mr. Sheehan was saying is during the summertime, there is so much of it that a lot of it is going into a landfill instead of being recycled. I just don't have the manpower.
And if I may say something, the reason I even brought up the issue of recycling is that we understand that we have to go up in trash rates. We are not, we can't afford to do this anymore. So we've got to figure out how to do this. And one of the things that we're going to do at the planning session the planning retreat on Monday is have Raven County Commissioner Kent Warner speak to us via Zoom as to what Raven County is doing with their landfill, with their trash, and with their recycling. So it'll give us as a city using the Raven County landfill a better understanding of what we need to be doing as a city to deal with our recycling and our trash and our rates. Thank you.
Cody, how difficult would it be to reconfigure the back of the truck to have bins so that you separate it at the collection point, which meant you're not lifting a big box over the head to dump in. And if the homeowner can get it out there, you can sort it.
It wouldn't be too hard of a job to do. That truck is being used for other things, the other 4 days of the week. So if we do, a massive overhaul fabrication of anything, then we couldn't use it for anything else.
Jason Street, for those that can hear, Ms. Curtis, the recycle truck that we had was like a 2001. It caught fire, had continued, it just got to the point that it had no value. It was surplus by the council, I think, in 2023, I believe. And as a cost-saving measure, because of the recycling, the fact that we're not making money, as the mayor has stated, the only viable option was to use a truck that we have. The truck that we use now, which is the F-350, back in 2021, the council approved the purchase to put a new bed on. So that bed, we spent almost $9,000 putting that bed on this truck. So you would literally have to get a new bed put on. We would be spending money. Really, at this point, it would not be cost effective to do anything more to that truck. That truck is a 2012. It's got a strong motor and a half rusted frame and a new bed. So we continue to use it, but we really, if we're going to continue recycling, we're going to have to figure out a way to probably spend about $50,000, $60,000, probably buying a used F-250, F-350 with a flatbed. And so that's another thing everybody needs to take into consideration, is that we're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, using a truck that's not really intended for recycling, but we have to continue the program, and you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
I have another. Yes, sir.
So, if we went to having bins where homeowners would do their own separating down at Public Works, I'm sorry, I haven't seen the buildings. I don't know the situation, but if we had bins where items were separated by the owners, where we carried them down ourselves and did the separation, then how would those bins get to the landfill?
Centralized location.
I believe that other places throughout Raven County, other like trash dump locations have bins that you can separate yourself. Like Raven Gap down here has a glass bin, a paper bin, they're covered, nice and neat. I don't know if we could work something out with the county where they install some of those up here, and they have their own trucks that come and dump them themselves. I don't know if there's a fee to that. I mean, I know they're not gonna do it for nothing, but.
Ms. Curtis, you were Jason Street, and just real quick, we had proposed doing centralized recycling about a year and a half ago. And some of the previous council members had some concerns about that being a reduction of service. What we were saying is that we would think it would be an increase of service, because right now you're limited to a 13-gallon per week. This would be something that would be able, people could come in. We would have bins like the Raven Gap recycle, glass, plastic. the location we were wanting to do it was behind the tractor shed. That was not deemed appropriate. The other place would be up near Well Lake. That was deemed to possibly be a solution because number one, it would really free up staff time and it would put the burden or the responsibility on the homeowner to come in. They could come in at their leisure, take their glass, put the glass, plastic, and then we would just, when it got full, we would take those bins down to the landfill. The previous council did not want to move forward with that. So we were, as you know, this is not a new discussion point we've been trying to tackle. So I just want to share that.
Well, what was their objection to that?
Mr. Greer, I'll just be honest with you. I think that the thought is that we do have a few elderly widows that might not be able to bring their recycling to the facility. And the response is that we do offer a premium backdoor service that they could pay for if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And it just never took any traction beyond that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah,
I mean, it seems to me that option of paying extra to have the backdoor service would make sense for the situation that you were just talking about. And that for the rest of us who are able-bodied, that we would take responsibility for our own separation. I'm sympathetic with these guys having to go to the landfill with a big pile of trash in the back and having to separate. That's not fair to Public Works, I don't think. I mean, and I'm sorry, I don't know Public Works. I don't know your name, your head, because the sound has been so poor. But if we had those bins, is there a way that we could transport them to the landfill?
Mr. Greer, my name's Cody. Yeah, I think there is a way. Possibly, it really depends on how big the bins get to be. If they get to be too big, then we'll be backing up, I think. It'll take such an amount of time to get them loaded up and stuff like that, and it might take a specialized truck bed to get that up there, and of course that would cost several thousand to have that done.
So, do we need to find out what it would cost to have the county come and pick up our bins and what size bins would be appropriate?
I think that would be a great start if we want to continue recycling. Yes, sir.
If I may say, my understanding is that Rabun County is not willing to do that. They are really losing money on their recycling as well and trying to figure out, and they keep raising the charges for going into the land, for dumping at the landfill because so many of the counties around us realized how low the charges were at Rabun County, and so the Rabun County landfill was filling up. And I will say this, as far as putting a centralized location, I personally am very concerned about vermin finding that point. So we might find a solution for us. And I find it really also difficult that to understand that most people go past that recycling center on a at least a weekly basis. And so I feel like it should not be such a heavy lift for our residents if we decide that this is a solution, both for from a hazard standpoint to our public works, from an increase in trash rates, an economic standpoint, and from a practical standpoint, just driving past the Rabun Gap Recycling Center and dropping your recycling off, if you are that committed to recycling, should not be such a heavy lift.
Well, you're just making it a lot more difficult for the individual. Now we're going from what's a really easy system for the owners to a really difficult situation. And it seems like we ought to be able to compromise with having bins on site. And I would think that the bins would be lockable overnight. And if people are instructed to keep their recycling clean before they put it in the bins, then it shouldn't be that dirty. You know, Benita, I know you're in favor of just trashing the whole thing. And I guess one of my questions is to Cody is then, if you guys eliminate the recycling program, that's going to free up a lot of hours, a lot of man hours from something that they were doing before. How would those hours be reallocated, or would they be subtracted from the guys' weeks?
There's a million different things we could do. We're fixing to get in the summertime, we got grass cutting, we got culvert cleaning, we got pothole patching, I mean, you name it, they can be doing it.
Tree trimming, canopy clearing.
What's not getting done?
Dick, there's lots of things not getting done. Every year I try and encourage our public works guys to make a budget request for an extra person or two, and every now and then that happens, but for the most part, not. As long as I've been on council, we have been trying to trim the trees along the streets. And that's perpetually, you know, postponed until winter, and then we get a snow, and, you know, we still haven't gotten to all the tree trimming that we need to do. In the summer, the guys are really busy with the grass mowing and stuff like that. And of course, all the people in Sky Valley generate a lot more trash. When the proposal came up, the way I remember it was, we were just gonna stop collecting at the house, except in special circumstances, and everybody was gonna use a centralized sorting station. And again, I heard it was down near the tent barn where, you know, behind the dumpster. And the council was unanimous in thinking that that was a reduction in service. And I think the solution is that we need to start doing that and let it be done on a voluntary basis. In the meantime, I think we have the ability to ask people to, doggone it, take care of your broken glass, wrap it, whatever, you know. Our guys don't need to be handling broken glass.
Can I jump in here? Because if you have the bins and people are putting them in the bins and then the bins are being transported, then there should be no material handling. Cody, isn't that right?
Once we get it to the landfill, that's when the handling starts. Now that our truck that had the flatbed on it and had the separate bins, we were handling it in Sky Valley on the side of the road. But now that truck is gone and we're doing it this way, we have the dump bed, and the handling.
Terrible. I agree.
The handling doesn't get done in Sky Valley; it gets done at the landfill.
Okay,
So
right. What I'm saying is that if we had bins where it's self-separation, and I mean, and this is the way that we were doing it when I lived in Highlands. We would go to the transfer station, separate our own recycling, and then those bins were hauled away by a truck, and nobody other than the homeowner had to handle the recycling. So it seems to me that that system eliminate the hazard. Is that wrong?
Yeah, no, I must have misunderstood. If we continue with recycling, I suggest that would be the way to do it. That way nobody touches it, but it gets the homeowner.
The homeowner, yeah.
Yeah, if we continue, that would be my suggestion, where there's that would eliminate the hazard, that would eliminate, time, everything.
from a time standpoint, we never really got traction on the centralized that we talked about, but the thought was at the time was to have a conversation with the county about taking that pre-cut, sorted, recycle to the Raven Gap, dumping it off there versus going down to Tiger at the same time, because they've got those bins and they're below grade. You got, if we had a way we could just back up, dump and go, we're 10 minutes away versus, the guys could be back in probably 30, 40 minutes versus a 2-hour trip down the Tiger and back.
Sounds to me like that's a pretty good solution, and it certainly worked at our transfer station in Highlands. Nobody ever had to touch the recycling. It was all handled by machinery there.
I think what we need to do is we need to do both. The fact that if we set up a recycling station at a central point, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna use it. The people that are not gonna use it are the people who are in the Airbnbs and the weekenders who are trying to get back to Atlanta fast. So I think it's important that we not reduce services, i.e. people who are currently recycling can do it at their homes. We've got the educational ability to tell them to keep the glass, sort the stuff, rinse the bottles. It's an educational sort of thing. I think, an awful lot of our homes don't have garages to put the big bins in and so on, and everybody makes room for the little 13-gallon box. But if they've got more than that, and that happens on occasion, people have parties and they've got, 3 bins worth, well, they're gonna have to take it down to the station. But the fact that people are taking stuff down to the station means there'll be less to pick up on collection day. And I think folks in Sky Valley have gotten used to this service. There's a lot of folks like myself who use the recycling at the street, but take our garbage down to the dumpster because, doggone it, we've got crows, we've got bears, we've got raccoons. It's just not worth the effort to pick all that stuff up if the animals get to it. So a lot of people, everybody gets charged the same $23 for both garbage collection and recycling, and yet only use the recycling. So.
Well, if they're taking the trash to the dumpster, they're still using it, it's just being.
Right, yeah.
Because that's part of the service.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just thinking that the problem is we've got a capacity limitation in what we're able to pick up at the street, and that having the centralized option will reduce what gets picked up. Because everybody that, is up here for the season or year-rounders, everybody knows where Knob Drive is, but we get a substantial number of people, particularly in the summer, that don't know where that is.
Can I jump in again, please?
I just have okay, you go first, Mr. Griff.
Okay. So Jesse, the option that you sent out about the backdoor service, what if we required the VRBOs and the timeshares to take the backdoor service and pay the additional $7 that would cover the recycling for those areas? I am sensitive to that because I think people, they're not going to go down to the bins. But for the rest of the community who this committee could educate, I think that would be one of our jobs, to educate about the recycling, of which now there doesn't seem to be much at all. Then the rest of us could be using the bins down below, and we could find out what the county would charge us to haul those bins away that have already been separated. It seems like some kind of a combination like that might be able to work. Okay, Benita, sorry.
That's all right, that's
No,
all right.
a great idea.
One of the biggest education problems we have is already manifesting itself at the compactor. How many times a year do we have to fix that compactor because people throw cardboard in there despite the huge notices on the compactor itself, despite the emails sent out? I don't know how many times Sharon has to send an email out saying, don't throw cardboard in the compactor. We pay, but I don't use the trash and I don't use the recycling here. We go down to Raven Gap personally because it's not convenient for us to get our trash can down the hill. So I understand that upcharge for people who need it at the top of the hill or at their home. Maybe I'll have to do that one of these days. But the point is that one way or another, we are going to have to adjust our trash rates. So whether that is in reducing that recycling or eliminating it, and I hear you all talking about clearing out those recycle bins, if we have a central recycling station, clearing those out as they get filled. That means they're going to sit there for a while. And again, I bring up that vermin problem. I hope that doesn't happen. And I would love to have a carrot and stick approach to this. Perhaps how much do you do in the way of citations?
As far as
not putting your trash out at the correct time, as far as having to go in and pick up trash when the bears get in there. You don't do any recycling citations, do
If you
you?
don't mind. The expectation,
I have a couple responses to Benita's comments.
Thank you.
If we had separated bins down by the compactor and one of them was labeled cardboard, perhaps that would alleviate some of the compactor problem. And again, I think maybe eliminate household recycling pickup except for those who want the backdoor service, and again, then require timeshares and VRBOs, require them to pay the increased fee, and so that their stuff will actually get recycled and thrown away correctly.
I wanted to answer the mayor's question.
Oh, I'm
As far
sorry.
as, there's no fine if you have your trash out past 8 o'clock. What happens is it becomes a he said, she said, because they'll call and say, oh, my trash didn't get picked up. I reach out and I call Dustin, whoever, or Neil. We went by there at 8:45 and their trash was not out. And so it becomes a he said, she said, and what winds up happening 9 times out of 10 is we have to go back and pick it up because we're a full service city. It's just, as far as trash that's left, if they put their trash out on Sunday night at 10 o'clock, and we come by and there's the bear or the raccoons, whatever's got into it, it's the responsibility is on the homeowner to clean it up. Or if the city comes in, we charge $100 an hour to clean it up. And that gets added to the trash bill. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the question about requiring the Vrbo Airbnb folks to do the premium service. We already have a hard enough time getting these folks to pay the $300 yearly STR. We catch them. We actually pay for a service called Granicus that scrapes the internet to find these violators. So I think that, and it's very effective at doing that. I think that instead of requiring what the notion may be is we take, all right, you gotta say an extra $7 or $10 a month. All right, so now you're $100 to $120 a year. instead of charging $300 for an annual SDR, maybe you just charge $450. And that incorporates that extra fee versus trying to chase them down to do that.
Are you saying you would do that for everybody or the extra charge?
Yeah, I think Mr. Sheehan was just commenting how they already have a charge for short-term rentals each year, and it could be an option to just add an additional fee to that covers that recycling. Is that what you're saying?
That, cover the premium.
Cover the premium.
That would just be included.
Yeah. I do want to be sensitive to time. I know we have a couple other agendas, things on the agenda. I don't know that we've landed yet on one of these options here, but do we want to think about it more with more cost? Do we want to add like cost to decentralized and start putting numbers to this? Or does anyone here have a recommendation on how to move forward? Because I don't want to spend too much more time. I feel like we've got a pretty good discussion going.
Councilor Price, I think that you are right. We're not going to solve everything today. I do believe that Commissioner Warner coming in to kind of give some county perspective Monday will help. I will want to close as we move on in the agenda that back when we were talking about doing this centralized recycling, we actually had looked at possibly doing some privatization. I had talked to a company, and when they told us that, when I said that they asked how much we charge a month for trash, we said $23. They said that the break even is like 25. And that really to make any money is more like 27 to 30. So, I mean, that just solidifies the fact that we know we're losing money.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Seaton that that's where we're at right now. I think we're losing money on it, and we need to keep our city workers safe, and then we need something for the residents as well. So that's the brainstorming session we're doing now.
Our city employees are too polite to say this, but we're a pretty picky bunch of consumers, and I don't see how we're going to cut back on service. And so I think option one is really pretty much off the table. We can ease the burden with education. We can ease the burden with a centralized recycling. I think the idea of having the rental units pay for the backdoor pickup is a great idea, and that should solve part of the problem as well. So that's where I expect the solution's going to lie.
Yeah, sure.
I'm speaking as a resident.
Yeah.
But if we add 80 short-term rental homes to backdoor service and all of the timeshares, the public work workers will be spending so much time tracking up and down hills to do a backdoor service because they cannot drive the trash truck up these driveways. So the problem would be we're, again, accruing more cost and really not fixing the problem. I own a short-term rental too, actually, and we don't recycle. So why would I pay the fee, and you're just making a blanket statement that we all have to do it. So I just think a lot of things need to be included in our ideas, not just say, let's charge them all, because it really taxes the public work workers more.
Okay.
Well, remember that you're eliminating the rest of the door-to-door recycling or the regular residents. So there's a pretty big time saver right there.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of good ideas. Anybody else have anything else before we move on to?
I would like to just say one thing, and since it's time, and this is not about the crew running the ship, but this is nasty business. And we struggle to be competitive with pay. I want to commend this mayor and council and the previous mayor and council that have been extremely aggressive in paying our folks. But right now we are down staff, and it's just not exciting business for folks that have to deal with people's dirty peanut butter jars and things like that. So, as we're looking at increasing these fees, increasing staff, we're probably going to have to look at increasing salaries too. And we are extremely competitive That's just kind of a side note element in the room, that there's a physical labor component with this. And we're struggling with finding folks that want to do this work. That's just a side note there. Young folks just don't do it.
Mr. Greer, I'm Jerry Show, Public Works Director. Just would like to speak on the educating part of it. A lot of it is self-explanatory, but as Mayor Orr spoke on, the compactor is a good example. You go down there and it says no cardboard. Okay, they say no cardboard, and they pile it outside the compactor and leave it there for us to deal with it as well. I think that's a good idea, but I think you know that a lot of times that's not gonna happen. And plus this with the VRBO people, I know it's not everybody, but it's just been an issue for several years now. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say that and also to address Benita's comment about the vermin, where we recycled in Highlands, again, it was a transfer station. It would be kind of a similar situation. If we have a cardboard bin right there, it seems like people would be, at least most people would be more responsible and put their cardboard there. And also, we had no vermin problem at all, because things were separated, things were clean. And if people take responsibility, then I don't see why we can't do it that way. And again, I do think it's up to this committee to do the educating of the community, whatever we decide to do.
Yeah, I think we can start educating now because that's not expensive. I think everyone has different recycling bins. I think that's part of the problem as well, because it's not like we have a standard recycling bin that has the categories that people can drop things into. But even if we did, and I'm from Oregon, it's like the capital of recycling, and even they struggle a lot with their programs to be cost efficient, because people they don't always, it's the education and then it's the mess, and just some people do it, some people don't. So it's a hard concept in general. I do want to move on because we've got a couple other agenda items I'd love to get to today, and in the interest of our city workers, everybody's time, I don't want to spend too much more time on this. And like Mr. Streetman said, we have someone from the county coming on Monday, so we'll have a lot more education. I feel like this discussion's been great, and I just want to wrap it up. Not that I want to cut anybody off. I just want to keep moving. So as far as the water program discussion, I just wanted to open up generally because I know that it's really important, and I think that we have some incredible work that's been done by the previous council, and then I want to just continue that and keep moving it forward because since I moved in here 4 years ago, we used to have boil water advisories. We haven't had one in probably like 8 months to a year. Yeah, it's really, really going in a good direction, but I know that there are more things that we need to do, additional wells, pressure reducing valves, those kind of things. So would any of y'all be able to speak to that really quick just to help educate everyone if we're not on the same page?
Yeah, so I wrote down a few things here. The first thing I've got, and it's probably on the top of my priority list, being the water system coordinator, is well number 9. We currently,
Which one is that?
well 9 is the proposed new one that we had a hydrologist. Is that the right word? Yeah. A hydrologist come in and do some studies for us. And his study showed that right behind the post office there up on the bank, it showed that would be a good spot for a well. The other spot was on the, it would be the right side of the entrance going out.
City owned lot right there.
Yeah, the city owned lot at the entrance to Sky Valley, the main entrance. Yes, sir. I really think that's on the top of my priority list because we need redundancy. We need some backup. We currently have well 7 out Driver Lane. Well 4 is out Tahoe Lane. Of course, well 6 is right there on hole 9, if I'm not mistaken. Well 3 is over past the pickleball court, and then well 8 is over on Knob Drive. Well 8 really does most of the heavy lifting. It can pump the most gallons per minute. Well 3 is right behind that. It's about 20 gallons per minute less than number 8. Number 4, number 7, and number 6 wells, they're what we consider a maintenance well. Not a lot of capacity there for gallons per minute. I think number 4 pumps about 3 gallons a minute, 4 gallons a minute, maybe. You know, it's not a lot. And everybody knows Sky Valley's got aging water pipes, aging wells. We actually, the council approved, when was that? When we bought the backup well pumps and motors. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's 23.
Yeah, I think that was 2 years ago. We got some backups if something was to happen to our main wells. That would be number 3, number 8. We have brand new pumps and motors sitting at the shop ready to go if something was to go down. But a lot of places around Georgia and all over the world have water systems tied into other water systems. And me selfishly not wanting that, with the county, they're great people, whatever. We really need to stay with our water system. And then a way to do that would be to drill a new well, behind the post office there.
So that should be priority number 1.
That is my priority.
Okay, mine too.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things, Mr. Price, that Mr. English did not state is that we have the permit to drill the well. The issue is the funding. It's gonna cost about $400,000 to do this. And we've got some ideas on funding. That's gonna be talked about Monday. But and then the redundancy, as he talked about, another thing too, the side note, we have 2 separate systems. Winding Ridge behind you, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Price, that is a separate system that we maintain. It is completely isolated. There's only about 22 houses on that system, but
Which well is that?
there's 2, Winding Ridge, which is behind us, the Quinta well, and then the Winding Ridge well. There's 2 wells up there, but if those wells went down, or if we had an issue with that water tank, there's 22 homes with souls that have no water. So we need redundant, not only do we need redundancy with our water capacity, we need to find a way to connect these 2 systems.
Should we move on to the next thing, or?
I had a question. Okay. Just for my education, so if we did have a brand new well number 9, would that solve the problem with redundancy if they're not connected to the ones all the way out here, or is that a different problem?
Well, no, it would not, drilling the new well in the big part of the city would not help Winding Ridge at all. The only way that we could connect those 2 systems, I'm gonna speak a little bit more on it Monday, at the meeting, but essentially taking a water pipe from that part of the city and running it to this part of the city.
It's just this building, City Hall.
It's on well.
It is on.
It's on a well.
Yeah, it's on its own well. There's a lot of questions and a lot of engineering that would have to go into something like that. And a lot of money, of course.
When he talks about redundancy, he's talking about redundancy of capacity. Right now, if you were to take our water system and compare it and break it up $100 bill, $60 out of $100 is coming from well 8. $30 is coming from well 3, and then 4, 6, and 7 are the $10. The redundancy is that if well 8 goes down and it's January, we can probably go 2 or 3 days because we've got the tanks. If it's July 4th and well 8 goes down, we've got a hell of a problem. And so the redundancy is that what, about 100 gallons a minute? So what is 144,000 gallons a day at max. The new well 9, we're anticipating it could pump about 200,000. And that doesn't mean it's pumping 200,000 gallons a day, but that well is there. If well 8 goes down, well 9 is there, it's pumping.
Well, 9 would become the primary.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, when we talk about redundancy, it's redundancy of capacity.
If well number 8 goes down, number 3 does all it can do to keep up with the system, and eventually it pumps so much that it pumps down and it causes it to go, what is it called? Where it picks up,
Reduced capacity.
Yeah,
Air.
it just starts picking up air.
just starts picking up air. And if with well number 9 there, you would definitely have the backup that you needed to help with number 3 as well.
All right, the second time, not only because of death, but the other importance about well 9 is, and we ran into this time last year, we had fires. We actually had conversations with the fire chief about how much water could we provide if, with all the tanks, well, we probably have, if all the tanks are full,
About half a minute.
500,000 gallons. That's great. So, but if we had to drain those tanks, how fast could we replenish those tanks? So that's another reason that this is our number one priority as well. Now, the second would be probably a tank. I don't want to take away Cody's agenda here.
Would we be able to close the low productivity wells if we put in the new?
We would never want to do that. I've been told by several people that, you know, through the EPD and stuff like that, that I've talked to, never let those wells be abandoned.
Okay,
You never know when you might need that 3 gallons a minute, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
We keep up those wells just like we do 3 and 8. We go to them, 5 days a week, check chemical levels, pH, chlorine. You know, we keep them up and do the annual samples on them so they don't go bad.
Is there any state funding available for the 400,000?
Interestingly enough, we're going to be applying for another ARC grant. That it requires a 50-50 match. I'm going to be talking about this Monday at our session with meaning that we've been told by our engineers that at worst case, $400,000 to build this well. We would go for 200,000 and then we would match for 200,000. So there are some, not a lot of grants. Most of the time, what you're looking at is loans through primarily GIFA or GIFA, however you want to pronounce that, which is the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority. So we would be applying for ARC, Appalachian Regional Commission grant. So yeah, there are some grants out there. They are few and far between. They're not low hanging fruit. You have to get a ladder sometimes to get them, but they are some out there. That's where.
If you're okay, I'm just gonna move on with the next thing I got here. We talked about the redundancy with Winding Ridge. I'm gonna talk some more about that on Monday. An additional storage tank, we talked a little bit about that. The city does own some land up on Wildbird, which is at the top of Knob. How many acres do we own right there?
Not quite an acre.
Not quite an acre, okay. If we drill another well, we will definitely be able to hold more capacity. So I really think that putting a tank up on Wildbird would be second priority.
Is that in addition to number 9? That'd be like number 10 or?
No, it wouldn't be a well, it would just be an additional storage tank.
Sorry.
Yeah, a ground storage tank.
Cody, up above Wildbird Lane is where we've got the existing tank, and right next to it, it looks to a layman's eye, to me, like that would take a second tank, right?
It possibly could. That foundation that's already there would have to be completely taken down.
That's fine,
And, you know, it's pretty old, but
but it's out of sight.
yeah, you're right. You're right. It's out of sight. We could,
Sensitive.
yeah, I'm sure there's a way that we can go right beside there and
Some minerals.
it is on Merrill's property. Okay.
Yeah, we probably want to stick to not putting some barrels.
Right.
You just.
Mr. Curtis,
I'm gonna speak loud, I've said the microphone, but we own where the Alex Mountain tank is, that's just before, on the left, just before you get to Wild Bird. When you, on Alex Mountain,
Yes, okay.
the Alex Mountain tank, right there on, if you're heading to the crest, like you're heading back towards your part of the city where you live at, that tank that's right there on Alex Mountain, before you get that Wild Bird, as soon as you turn on the Wild Bird, we own 2 lots on the left, right there.
Right, I understand.
And when we surplus those lots about 3 years ago,
Right. They don't
we
hurt.
intentionally kept those 2 lots because of the elevation. It's about 3,900 feet right there. And because you've got that tank at Alex Mountain and you've got some tree line, we felt like that would be an ideal spot for a future tank. Because again, we know that the city's growing. We have a section of the city now that we're fixing to experience a lot of organic growth. When I say organic, lots are already there.
Right.
We're probably fixing to see about 15 houses get built down Evergreen. So that's another reason why we need this well 9. We need another tank as the second priority.
I think it's important to make a point here. I don't want everybody out in the public to be scared that we're running out of water. You know, we're in some kind of crisis. We just want the backup. We want to be able to never run out of water.
Yeah, that's our job. Look ahead.
I think it was important to say that right there.
Definitely.
The last thing I got on the water project is, water meters. The meters that we have now are quote unquote 20-year meters. That's what the battery life is supposed to last. They've been in the ground now 10 to 12 years. In the very near future, there's some great technology out there that we need to start exploring. We've already started exploring some of it, and unfortunately, that company went out of business. But there's great technology out there that can really conserve water just by having a different water meter.
More accurate.
More accurate. It can also detect leaks. It's essentially a smart meter. It can be controlled remotely, on, off by the city. Within the next 5 years, we're definitely gonna have to start looking, you know, to be complete, I hope, within the next 5 years, to have all of these smart meters transferred.
Could you put that? Turn the water on?
Not for the homeowner, but it would for the city.
I think that the water meters you're speaking of are the ones that are right on the street.
Yes.
So you'll have a shut off valve at your house, and then
Yes.
that line goes into your house and then down to the street, and the one at the street are the ones that are aging out. Do we have a way to audit those? Like, what do we have over the whole city, how many we need, and then can we put that on like a budget and then with a timetable to fix so many? I'm just throwing out ideas.
Talk about deadlines.
So if I understand your question right, you want to audit them in a way of knowing how much
Which
water
ones do
they
they need
need.
to, no, I'm just saying like, if we knew like we need, I'm throwing out a number, we need 500 of these.
Mhm.
How much do they cost? How quickly can we do them over a period of time? So they're kind of always being done. Cause I don't think they're incredibly expensive individually, but as a mass maybe.
Yeah, the pilot test that we done with the smart meters, they were about $500 a piece. I know for a fact that there is some cheaper options. Of course, cheaper is not always better, but the issue that we run into with the pilot that we done was transmitting, communication to our remote phones or computers or anything like that. There's, Sky Valley, there's not Verizon cell phone service everywhere. And we were really having trouble connecting with the meters, and we tried to put them in spots that we could connect, and even when they had decent service, they would, go out because of the service around here. But that industry is growing so fast that definitely within the next 5 years, we could have an answer.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, you said the issue with the smart meters isn't the smart meters themselves. It's more that we don't have internet service to cover everything. So there could be a leak with the smart meter, but you may not be notified because you don't have the Wi-Fi signal there. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any more discussion around water? Did you have anything else on your agenda?
Yeah, got it there.
Anyone have any comments on water? I think we're all pretty much on the same page. It's important as much as we can be future forward and looking to head off those problems before they happen. I think that's great.
The only thing you wanna have to talk about Wegman real quick, Wegman, let me just say. There is a company, we obviously don't have a contract with them, but there is a company out there called Wegman that, they provide solutions. They're kind of like EMI, a little different. They have been in process of bringing us a proposal or basically a complete overhaul of the system. Everything from the redundancy issues to zoning the system to helping us find the most effective water meters that we have. Again, I don't want to beat that to death on the water meters, but they were bought with GFA loans 2012, 2013. So they've been around 13, 16 years. After about 10 years, you start getting about 2% degradation per year. So if it's mechanical, it has basically a rotor that spins. So as these meters have been in the ground now 13 years, they're probably operating around 90, 92, 94%. So there's water loss. And when we have to updo our water, every 10 years, we have to have our withdrawal permit. We have to present a water conservation plan where we have to aspire to have our water loss under 20%. When I first got here, we were losing about 50% of our water. We're down to probably 25, 30 now. So there's other savings benefits about these meters. And I don't beat that to death. Everybody knows we have an issue, but I would say that is definitely our top 3 priorities.
I've got just one more thing to add to the water meters. The technology that's out there now, you can be a homeowner and download the app, and you can see if your meter is flowing or not. So if you're out of town, been out of town for a week, all of a sudden you get an alert on your phone that's throwing up a red flag, your water, your meter's spinning, you have flow. Call the city, say, hey, turn off my water meter. Somebody in City Hall or myself clicks a couple buttons and your meter's turned off. So
That's a really good point, because in areas where you're not having the cell service, often people could have internet, and if they're monitoring themselves, that, in my view, is a redundancy on the meters.
Did you say that the app notifies the homeowner when there's an issue? It's not like the homeowner has to keep checking it.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, it sends you an alert, but it sends you a red flag.
It's my understanding though, correct if I'm wrong, Cody, though, but it still has to go through the meter to the city and then to the homeowner. So
Right.
there are options. One of the things that we looked at was putting some micro towers or micro signal to boost the signal. The issue at the time, though, if I recall, is that company went out of business. They were only using AT&T, right? And then they were looking to add Verizon. So as technology changes, that was 3 years ago. That might as well be 30 years in terms of technology as far as things advance, or 3, or however you want to say it. Anyway, I know we want to move on, but the meter the summarize, the meter technology is there. We know we have to embrace that. We're probably looking at 700-800 meters, $500, probably worst case $500 a pop, but we gotta have it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's good information to know. So if we can move on from water, and no one has anything else, we will move on to proposed capital projects.
I've got, 3 capital
projects, that we've been looking at. Me and Jason and Cody, we all go out, inspect the roads and look at them. On the resurfacing, it's gonna be driver lane and LaBelle, which would, include going in and putting a 1/2 inch of leveling on top to level everything out, and a 1.5 inch of topping, and, get it all resurfaced, the whole loop of driver lane. Y'all can measure it, makes a loop, have an upper and lower LaBelle. If you're on the lower side of LaBelle, going toward, White Oak Ridge on Outridge Bowl, the road is deteriorating real bad and cracked up. And the shoulder, when that happens, the shoulder of the road starts giving, and that just leads to further damage to the road in the future. Let's see, driver lane is, we paved it last year with T-Splosh.
We did pay it.
Not driver, Evergreen.
No, we did it.
Eagle Circle. I'm sorry,
Which circle?
Eagle Circle.
Eagles. Okay, Eagles.
It was in bad shape. Driver lane, ties in with Eagle Circle there. The road is in bad shape itself, but to bring it up to Eagle Circle and bring it back in to make everything match and on the same level as the years to come, where you can sit back down and do it again to make it match. There's several potholes there, several cuts in the road where it's been patched before. It's just in bad shape as well. And one of the big ones here is widening of Evergreen. Ever since I've been here, even on the police side, Evergreen was just a road bed out the back down across the Run Road. Switched over to Public Works. They would have us go down, take care of the road. It wasn't just a little while, you'd have to go back down and do it again. Spent a lot of time on it, and stopped on doing anything down there. Jason, me and him talked about it, and he took it over. He got it done, and I think it's been a very good thing having that road. Huge. It was. I really wasn't amazed at it, but to say that road, I think that road gets used more than Sky Valley Way. Just being back and forth in the resort, work, checking on the guys and stuff. When you're going up down that road, I'm sure you're familiar with it. You go down it. We've had it where you can move over a little bit, some spots patched on the sides of it. It don't look very good, as it looks right there. If you go back and widen it, you'll be coming up all the way up, and you'll have more room to let cars go by on either side of you. And actually, it will help protect that shoulder of the road that's been used so much now that's coming apart. It will help re-intact that, and I think that will be a big plus for the city to do it as well.
And there's a lot of heavy trucks, gravel trucks and stuff like that coming up that road too, so every little bit of reinforcement would help, but the big thing is the safety.
Okay, yes, sir.
Because it's really curvy, steep, it's,
Just as we were looking to do what we call prioritize paving, resurfacing as our capital projects, some of these roads were actually approved, Council Curtis, as you may recall, last year. But the problem was the driver were going to pay half of it. It would have stopped at Fairway, but we really didn't feel like that was the way to do it. We needed to do the whole road. LaBelle was something that was put off from last year, and largely it was put off because the T-Splosh collection, we did not know if that continuation was going to be approved. The voters thankfully approved that continuation last past November. Those collections should begin back, I think, in June. And we did not want to just completely deplenish that funding. There's a little bit over $350,000 in that account right now. And you never know what's gonna happen. And to pay Driver, to pay LaBelle would put us in a situation where it would leave us with a very small amount of cushion. So as we're anticipating what we have now, as we're anticipating what we should collect for half a year, there should be funding there for the widening of Evergreen, and then for LaBelle, and then Driver Lane. We're going to go to 18 feet wide on Evergreen. I wish we could go wider, but you're kind of reverse engineering some things there. But 18 is what we feel like we can go to.
What is it now?
It's 15 feet wide.
That's a good improvement, 3 feet.
It will make a difference between people slapping mirrors because somebody won't get over. But yeah, and just for a side note, again, for the sake of discussion, I don't want to go too deep into this, but when we first did that program, it was gonna be 12 feet wide.
Yes, that's right.
And the contractor came back when we were doing the grading to smooth out all of because that old road was already a road there, but we just, sometime in the past, I guess it had been engineered creative. Anyway, we just went in and we smoothed it out and we paved it. And the contractor came back and said, this is not gonna work, 12 feet. So we came back to the council, and I think y'all approved another $70,000-$80,000 to take it from 12 feet to 15, and now we're gonna go from 15 to 18. So it's probably gonna be that same $70,000 to $100,000 to do that. But that is where the growth is fixing to occur. There's already a couple of houses fixed to begin on Evergreen. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. And then there's another neighborhood called Bear Trace. We're probably fixed to see about 5 houses. So we know that the growth is coming in that part of the city. So it makes sense to do that widening. And as you recall, that was paid for with grants and ARPA funds. And in fact, I had to do the ARPA compliance yesterday, and it just reminded me how blessed we were to get those funds. But anyway, unfortunately, LMIG does not cover that, but thank goodness we have the T-Splosh to take care of that. So anyway, that's the plan to do that. And we will be putting, once we talk about this Monday at the retreat, if the council is comfortable with that, even though no action will be taken, but if we get the head nods like you're doing now, let's move forward, we will put that out to bid. And we're also looking at a program called TIPS. I have a meeting at 11 today, actually, which is that goes into about the way you go through competitive bidding for projects and contractors. And then I think the other capital project, Jerry, you want to talk about is the F4. It would be a capital purchase, but the F-450. You want to talk about that, or you want me to talk about that? Or whoever.
Last year, at the beginning, we received another F-450, which was a big asset for the city. We had 2 trucks moving, you can snow plow. It's got the big bed, the sides on it, you can haul more in it. The tonnage is a lot more. You can snow plow with it, haul asphalt with it. It's just be a all around asset for the city. And instead of having to wait on, as Jason spoke on earlier, the recycle trucks that we're using now it's getting older. The motor's okay, but the truck's getting kind of deteriorated a little bit. But other than that, that's it on the purchase. The 450 would be a big plus to help keep 2 trucks moving instead of when you're hauling from one place to the other, get 2 trucks going instead of 1.
Just a little side note, I was the one in the F-450 during the foot of snow that we got, and it done a lot better than I thought it was going to. This would have been its first event, having a snowplow hooked to it.
and it done exceptional. It was great.
That would be probably about an $80,000 purchase. And the recommendation of that would be funded through T-Splost.
And that's just the purchase of a new vehicle. We already have one we know that works really, really well. So having another one could continue to work in the same capacity in lots of different areas, snow and everything.
There's always a load of rock or dirt that needs to be taken somewhere. And so yeah.
So anything else on capital projects?
That's it.
Yeah, the last order of business was just proposed dark skies ordinance. This is an initiative that's important to the mayor. I agree. I think it's a very Sky Valley thing. It is very, we have a beautiful, beautiful night sky. I think we all love looking at it. And it's an important ordinance that I believe, did you ever say we've done that before?
I
There was
thought
complications.
that I remember voting for that once before. But I have not had a chance to go back into the ordinances just to find out if it's still in there or
Yeah.
if we even.
How would it work? How would it work?
I believe you have to, once you get it,
That any new light installations have to be focused down towards the ground so that we're not broadcasting it up into the sky.
And you're talking about city stuff, not individual stuff.
Individuals and city.
Right.
So we wouldn't have any street lamps installed that are, radiating light all over the place. It's just has to go straight down.
How about lights at your house? I mean, for like walking up, we have some that go on when you walk up.
Yeah,
I assume those are okay.
I assume those are pointing down to where people are walking.
Yeah.
yeah, I
My
think,
spotlights are.
yeah, I have motion lights and I got solar motion lights.
Mhm.
And I have to check again on the wattage of it, but it's all about the brightness. So if it's a motion light, it's not technically on all the time. And I think
Right.
that's one of the big specifications. And then it's overall light pollution, how much light does it put out? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're just starting the ball rolling on the dark skies ordinance, getting to see what people think. Logistically, I believe the difficulties of that would be enforcement. It's a little hard to do that, but in talking with Mr. Fiber, he said that when we do these kind of things, most people in the city are pretty okay with it. If they have a light that's too big, they're all right with putting a different kind of light up.
I just want to add, I actually have some experience with these dark skies. When I was the planning director at Dawson County, they had a light ordinance. And basically, it can be difficult to enforce. What you're talking about, as you mentioned, is directional lighting. And really the key is that just as you control your property, you control that light on your property. And I would clarify this because people will complain. And the example that I would give is okay, when you're driving into Athens on a Saturday night in October and they're playing Tennessee,
Yeah.
you can see those lights from Sanford Stadium 3 miles away, but are those lights shining on your property? No. So, but the thing it's controlling that lighting so that it's not interfering with your enjoyment as the neighboring property. And it gets into illumination and things like that. When there's tools that you can use to check to make sure that it doesn't exceed that. But the biggest thing is just making sure that if you have lights on your floodlights, they're not pointed out this way, that you step out on your back deck, you got these lights, just you can't see, but but again, if you look over and you see your neighbor's house that's 75 feet away, they may have floodlights, but if they're pointing down, you can see the lights lit, but it's not interfering with your ability to look up. So I think that's kind of the key. In my 25 years of doing this, I call it good neighbor zoning. It's not going, there's always something that it really gets back to just good neighbors being good neighbors to each other versus trying to regulate this. But again, I think just having some common sense language, directional lighting, making sure that you're controlling that lighting. And technology, I mean, you look at like a NASCAR race. I mean, they can take that light and stop it right there at the edge of the track, there's things you can be done, but anyway, I just want to chime in.
Just, is there a certain wattage? Or do you know?
No, I don't know off the top of my head. I think it actually is different for if it's a motion light or not, but I need to research further on it. I just want to start the ball rolling, get people's feedback and thoughts.
When I lived in St. Louis and when I lived in Washington, I never saw the Milky Way. Sky Valley, you can see it every winter night.
Yeah, agreed. It's a special place, and I've heard from lots of residents, they'd love to be able to just, that not change.
From a public works standpoint, there's a lot of people that have feelings about the entrance lots. Every one of those lots that are on the ground are pointed up. Is this gonna change that for us to where we have to dim those lots? And the reason I'm asking is because we're in the process right now of switching a lot of those out. Because they're dated and they're going out, they're busted, they're been run over, I mean, you name it.
Well, when we install those lights, the idea was for them only to be focused on the trees and things. Now, half the year, that blocks the light from going up. In the winter, maybe we do need to turn those down. But we went through a real process to calibrate them and get them, they were way too bright when they were first installed, but we got them down.
Yeah, I would imagine that a lot of that stuff would be done a little bit more on a case by case. You would replace them as they come instead of some massive try to go and do them all at once.
And there are lighting companies that specialize in that, and that might even be an LMIG project, I don't know, we can look at that in the future, the fund for that.
But I'm not hearing any dissent
No,
from the
Yeah.
importance of the dark sky ordinance.
I think that's everything we had to go through. Unless anyone else has anything else they want to bring up, we can adjourn.
Take a motion, second, I guess.
Yeah, I would,
If you need a motion, I'll make it.
motion for adjournment.
I so moved.
Need a second?
I'll second. I guess I'm on the committee.
Thanks, Larry.
Adjourn.
All right. Well, guys, thank y'all for all y'all